Okay, up next on our list, and we're going back to this theme of football, graduate of the United States Naval Academy and played football at Navy, is our next speaker. And he has a very hot company called Venergy. And his approach to doing alternative financing is he finds big uncles that become his friends. And we're going to let him tell you that story. Clive.
Chris did a pretty good job. Does anyone else in here work in the federal sector? Does anybody play in the government world? We got one over there. Give you a little background of who we are and what we've achieved over the last 5 years. We are a veteran-owned company. In the government sector, I do have the service disabled veteran-owned small business set aside, which I'll get into going over there. We also moved our headquarters up to Fort Pierce, and the reason being it's a hub zone, again another set aside. So we play around in the energy sector for the federal government. Trying to start a business in 2008, 2009, I think all of us went through everything where you go from the SBA loans, you go through big banks, Wells Fargo, you have invoicing factor. What I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve was I wanted to understand my market well enough to say who are my competitors and who could strategically be my teaming partner. So what I did is I went and played the federal sector with a lot of my academy friends that are all now high-ranking officers and make decisions. And I said, okay guys, who holds these contracts and how do I get involved to get a piece of that pie? Because the federal budget right now is $500 billion. The VA budget is $300 billion. You have $800 billion of spending. So what I did is I took away and said, hey, I have no competition. And whoever won those contracts, I went up and said, hey, I think I can do just as good a job, if not better, because I have smaller overhead. And what we call that is teaming arrangements. So again, getting your foot in the door, taking that small $5, $10, $50,000 contract, and what we're trying to do is build our past performance. Because what people think about, and you hear it all the time, hey, the feds have a lot of money. It's easy, hey, I can sell anything to them. If you don't have past performance, if you don't have bonding, if you don't have certain requirements, you're out. It's harder now than ever to become a federal contractor. It's being more stringent, more strict. Exactly what Chris was saying is the federal government gets stiff just like all of us. So people are like, hey, you know what, I'm not going to make any profit margin, I'm just going to walk away from it. Well, what it does is it kills small businesses, and the small businesses have gone from, you're a small business, if you're under $33.5 million, there's different NICS codes, or you have employees under 400. Can you imagine competing against a small business that has 400 employees when you have 10 people, 12 people? So what I've done is I said, okay, here's where the big pot of money is. Here's the guys, 16 people companies that control them, the Boeings, the Lockheed Martins. And what I did is I went to them and said, hey, I can win you these contracts, but what I need you to do is guarantee that I'm going to do that work. You're not going to use my references and my connections or relationships unless I have an agreement with you to get this work. And what that allowed me to do is now they're going to provide my financing, they're going to provide my fund, my bonding. I can piggyback off their past performance, and then I can grow my company. So a lot of times we say, mentor protege, and I didn't only focus on the federal government to do that. Now I look at it in everywhere I go. Dealing with Arthur and Skip, anybody that I can partner up with, I just need a little piece of the pie to grow our company and build those relationships. And I think that if I can teach anybody anything out of this meeting is, change your views of your competition and sort of say, hey, is there a teaming opportunity where you can help them grow and they can help you grow, and then gradually diversify, the way you're growing your business. And that's what I did. So when you look at alternative financing, now I can go to the banks and now I can do certain things, but it's still great because those big companies are the banks for me. These guys are doing $100 billion a year in the federal government, some of these contractors. Well, from a bonding capability, my bonding rates are 1.5, 2.5 if I'm over in the islands, a little more stringent. Even when you have government contracts, everybody jacks everything up when you're on the islands because they don't know how long you're going to be there, so they mark up rates. These guys are getting 0.4% bonding rates, interest rates at 0.2. So guys, I'll pay you. I'll pay the big companies those rates, and they can mark it up a little bit because I can't beat it at a bank anyway. So yeah, that's how. Again, from an alternative financing, I don't want to scare away the SBAs. There's grant programs, there's the SCORE program, there's the PTAC. All I would tell you guys is try to be as creative as you can to work with your competition, if they're competition, and then learn from them. Because what happens is you learn good and bad. Hey, I do want to do this and be more successful in this avenue, or hey, I need to focus here, I don't want to be part of this. I'm going to look for another company to work with for this department or this product or whatever it is. So that's how we've been successful. Go ahead.
You make a great point. One thing, what he's saying about the government or any large entity is worried about your ability to financially live up to the contract. Well, we'll give them a letter of comfort or a letter of financial capabilities. So, especially for women, minorities, small, there'll be a letter saying, hey, you have a $500,000 or $2 million credit facility. And then that'll get over some of the hurdles of, oh, okay, you've got $1 million, $2 million available to you. And we offer that to all our clients on these government set-asides and Fortune 1000 type stuff.
Absolutely. Again, guys, everything is going to be pretty consistent, whether you're dealing with a large company or dealing with banks. You got to have cash flow analysis. You got to have a decent business plan. From my standpoint, I'm going to tell you all day long, don't spend too much time on your business plan. Focus on sales. Cash flow will generate your business plan. But you still have to have the same requirements, whether I'm dealing with a big company, because you still have to show how successful and why you can be successful. And again, it takes time to get where, it's been a long 5 years to get where we are. But here's the success stories that I have. My people, I continue to hire veterans that have served with people that make decision makers. And when you serve at war, these guys, pretty much that relationship's there forever. So that's the one success story. And then just making sure you act on what you say you are. I mean, if I could change anything in today's world, how many of us have done business by the shake of the hand, and now these contracts, I mean, buying a car, buying a house, all these contracts, especially when you get in the federal, you start reading the FAR, these things could take you a week to go through, and you still aren't protected. The government still owns you. So, if you just do what you say you are, and meet all those expectations and goals, it will be pretty smooth sailing from there. I'll tell you, Arthur and Skip and Michael, all these guys here have helped me succeed. I don't think I've done anything. It's the people that I've surrounded myself and the 3 guys in this room that continue to bring business every day to me. I get emails and, can you be here, can you do that? So again, networking has been really helpful. Go ahead, sir.
What exactly is your product or service again?
So we grew, good question. We started the company focusing on power quality products, and now we have diversified in doing microgrids. So I do solar, we're looking at wind turbines, we're looking at turbines itself that do, that will do cooling and heating and all sorts of everything. I mean, we're taking the National Guard and the USVI off the grid. So they're going to be completely electric independent. They're paying 62 cents a kilowatt hour down there. Here we're paying 11. So they just want to be more independent and stop having those big energy bills.
Have you done anything with Y-Green and all that?
With Y-Green, no.
Y-Green, they float bonds, and they'll go into your house and they'll have contractors say, yeah, it's 50 grand to solar this, hook you up to the grid, you can sell power back, and you don't have to pay a dime. They'll take it all out of your property tax. And we fund the contractors who go in and do the installs. And then I have a partner who does the WIP, the PO funding on
There's
Exactly
a
what
similar
you're selling.
program here called PACE. I mean, you had Commissioner Coward that started Self, but you had the PACE
But
program.
we're funding Y-Green people in California, Texas, and South Florida.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of, yes, sir.
So are you vet driven or energy driven? What's your angle here?
Uh,
Not sure I understand.
Yeah, so the business is in the energy sector. That's my business.
Okay,
What drives me personally is I try to put troops coming back from war to work.
okay.
So that is a personal, so I try to hire, predominantly veterans.
Do you train them, equip them,
Yeah,
or?
so good question. We work with a lot with Career Source. We do a lot of on-the-job trainings. The government also provides on-the-job training. So we first get them, out of the military mind frame. I mean, a lot of these guys that I'm hiring are special force. These guys have been at war for 7 to 10 years, and that's all they know how to do is kill. So,
Perfect
yeah.
for the energy business.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you're in the energy business trying to meet the
my
needs
goal-
for the job placement of vets within in the energy sector.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, my goal is to win contracts. So now that the energy, our current administration is presenting, hey guys, I want to do third-party financing. Well, there's only 16 large contractors that can't even compete on those large contracts. So what I've got to do is go team up with those large contractors and say, I'll win you that contract, but here's what I want to do out of that contract. I want to do lighting. I want to do solar.
Do you have that in place, or you got to put that in place once the vets come to you?
Yeah, I have 2 contracts in place.
He owns the intellectual property,
Okay,
so he can source it and
so we
supply
need
it.
to chat.
Yeah, intellectual property is a big topic. We keep saying that to everybody. We talked about it last month. When you own the intellectual property, your ability to do things increases dramatically. You got a question?